Alrighty, YouTube, good afternoon to y'all here. A happy Thursday, November 6th, 2025. Hope you guys are doing well out there. And we've got severe weather to talk about for tomorrow across the Tennessee and Ohio river valleys down toward the southeast. Very low wind severe weather threat, not anything too crazy, but we'll be on standby for coverage tomorrow in case that does in fact decide to happen. We've also got the big cold blast coming down here out of Canada this weekend. It's been the biggest story this week here, and we'll continue to talk about it as we head into early next week and this weekend here, looking at some of the coldest temperatures since spring and winter of this past January, February, March season, with snowfall on the way for some, with some higher snowfall totals possible in western North Carolina, maybe up towards Michigan. So we're going to talk about all that here, break that down here. We'll start to kind of get into some of the potential snowfall here over the next couple of days as we get closer to this event. Timing of that looks to be around Sunday, Monday, Tuesday here as this clipper system moves its way in, and then we're going to have a warm up, and then models are already showing another little cold blast to air next weekend with some snow. So we're going to start to see this winter pattern really start to shape up here, back and forth, warm, cold, warm, cold, warm, cold, as we transition through the month of November here, maybe even some severe weather, but as of right now, very low and severe weather in the future as of right now past tomorrow. So go ahead and break that down here on this forecast here, talk about satellite imagery. I got that big old upper level low that's officially moving off the northeast now. It is well up into the northern Atlantic there, so not going to be too worried about that. A pretty nice day across much of the Ohio Valley. We're going to be nice today before this cold front decides to swing through tonight through tomorrow, setting up the severe weather setup for tomorrow across the Ohio Valley and down toward the southeast. This is going to be the area tomorrow that we are watching for severe weather. That big old atmospheric river as well, still cranking in moisture across the northwest Pacific, a dry southern plains and Four Corners, and then a pretty cloudy with some drizzling rain across portions of the high plains and up towards the Midwest there for today. So not a lot going on for today. We'll keep you guys updated on that if anything were to change. Going ahead and taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook for tomorrow. We don't have any severe weather today, but for tomorrow here for Friday, we do have a small slight risk. They did shrink this down due to confidence and where that higher corridor of severe weather is going to be at, but a small slight risk here from Bowling Green, Kentucky, back down through Jackson, Tennessee here. Actually, Jackson, Tennessee is now outside of the marginal. My bad there. Bowling Green down here to Nashville, Tennessee. We'll be watching for the threat. Murfreesboro, Clarksville, you're also in that as well. We'll have to watch for the threat for some isolated severe weather. Marginal risk does now go from southern and southeastern Ohio through western Virginia and back down through Kentucky and the deep south here. We'll have the threat for tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail. Now, tomorrow's tornado risk, it's a pretty big 2% tornado risk, but this is more of a conditional tornado risk tomorrow, meaning if we do get any of these little miniature supercells tomorrow, these are going to be very small storms that do fire off tomorrow. Moisture is going to be a little bit of an issue, and instability is going to be an issue, but that's typical as we see these severe weather setups as we go towards fall and winter here. We typically see something lacking, and sometimes it takes a lot to get everything to come together here. But a low-end tornado risk tomorrow from southeastern and eastern Kentucky back down through Tennessee into portions of Mississippi and eastern Alabama here. We'll have to watch for an isolated tornado risk in that 2% region. Wind threat tomorrow is at 5% for winds up to 60 miles per hour, and then we have that hail threat at 15% for 2-inch diameter hail tomorrow in southern Kentucky and central Tennessee. So just be mindful of that tomorrow. Marginal risk outside of that for 1 to 2-inch diameter hail, and then we have another marginal risk on the day 3 outlook here, and this is going to be for Saturday here. We do have that marginal risk for South Carolina back down up into Georgia, southern Tennessee. We're going to have this boundary kind of hanging in place here, a little bit of instability, some shear to work with. So I do expect a low tornado risk, wind threat again, and a hail threat on Saturday. And we'll talk more about this here again in tomorrow's video when we get that official hazard outlook here where we can see all the hazards. And then taking a look at the day 4 through 8 outlook here. And once again, we're not expecting any severe weather, at least as of now, but there could be some low end severe weather towards the southern Gulf states as we head towards Monday and Tuesday of next week. And we'll keep you guys updated if anything were to change with that. Here's the timing for tomorrow. And I mentioned tomorrow, some people may see storms, some people may not. We're going to say most of the day of tomorrow is going to be pretty quiet, but as we go closer to the late evening tomorrow, we're going to see that cold front to the north there shift. And like I said, moisture may be an issue here on how these storms fire off, and instability as well. You know, if we don't have enough instability and moisture, we may just see general thunderstorms and some rain, and that's about it. On the other side of things, though, if this does come to fruition and we do in fact see enough instability and these storms do fire off tomorrow, you can see these little miniature supercells. These are not big time storms or anything like that, but a string or a cluster here along the cold front here of some miniature supercells, and each one of these could have the chance for a brief isolated tornado, wind threat and hail threat in here. And then down here toward the southeast, there is that risk, but it's a little bit more conditional depending on if we can get enough forcing to allow for storms to kind of go up. So we'll be watching this tomorrow. The timing for tomorrow's event looks to be right after lunchtime tomorrow around 2 to 3 o'clock, and then we'll have the storms transition linear as they go eastward across the cold front as we transition through tomorrow evening here with that severe threat mostly dying down around 7 to 8 o'clock tomorrow, and then rain entering the Carolinas here. And then we'll have to watch for storms again tomorrow afternoon down here in the deep south, and we'll talk more about that in tomorrow's forecast. Taking a look at our global pattern here, we'll go with the GFS today since the Euro has not fully loaded in, but both the GFS and the Euro are pretty in sync on what's going to be happening this weekend, so it doesn't really matter too much which one we show. Euro shows a little bit more snowfall. We'll look at that here in just a minute compared to the GFS. But here's our trailing system that's been moving through the country here this week. Here is our new system that's going to be entering here. This is what's going to help pull down that cold air as we head into the weekend here. But Thursday and Friday here, that jet stream moves southeast. Here comes our northwesterly flow and our big blast of cold air. And this is a bowling ball trough and a half here, is what I like to call this. We'll see the temperatures surge as far down as Florida as we head towards Sunday and Monday here with our strongest cold air up here into the Ohio River Valley, the Carolinas, and up toward the northeast where there will be some accumulational snowfall. Like I said, as we go through the next couple of days, we'll start to talk more about that. As we head towards Tuesday and Wednesday, that front will go east, and then we'll see, some more cooler air in place as we start to see ridging develop down here toward the southwest plains. This will allow for warmer temperatures here to start to surge to the north, especially as we head toward the end of next week, but still going to be pretty below average with some windy conditions across much of the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, Northeast next week into late next week. And then we're going to see as we head towards next week in that ridge setup, and then eventually another cold blast of air looks to be very, very possible again next weekend here as we head toward the 16th, 17th, and 18th with maybe even some more snow and maybe even some severe weather on the table. So we've got this transition pattern here where we're going to see lots of cold air, lots of warm air, and back and forth here with the battle of the seasons, as I like to call it. And then even looking longer in the range, it looks to be a pretty active jet stream with some more cold air and some storms coming in here. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. Here's the latest on those temperature anomalies. We talked about this yesterday in the last couple of days here, but here comes that blast of cold air, those darker blues, those purples showing up there. Those are going to be anywhere from 15 to 25 degree below average temperatures, and this is where I think most of that cold air will be locked in place. That we'll more than likely see wind chills this weekend with the wind gusts anywhere from the teens to the single digits, especially for the higher elevations of the Appalachian Mountains there, where those colder air, where the colder air just kind of gets trapped and kind of sits and hangs around. So that'll be through about Monday into Tuesday, and then eventually that'll get pushed out. Warm air will return on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday before another blast of cold air comes down again next weekend. Looks to be pretty similar as this weekend, at least is what the GFS is suggesting here. I will mention here just briefly some of these snowfall totals just so you guys can kind of get an idea here. This is the total 10-to-1 ratio if it all were to fall as snow, which in this situation more than likely would verify, but you could see a pretty decent amount of snowfall, 1 to 3 inches of snow from northern Iowa back down here into Michigan. Michigan looks to be the higher spot of higher totals here, anywhere from 5 to 8 inches, maybe some higher pockets of 8 to 12. The Appalachian Mountains here from Pennsylvania down toward the Carolinas could see 1 to 3 with higher pockets of 5 to 8, maybe an 8-inch total somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains there. And then we'll take a look here at the European model as well, so you guys can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. And here's a total on the Euro through the weekend here, and you can see the Euro wants more snowfall widespread wise for a lot more areas, with Michigan and the Great Lakes seeing their heavy snow, that Great Lake effect snow, and then more of a widespread snowfall total for Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, the Carolinas, getting into West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and maybe even towards northern Tennessee here. So we've got a lot of things to figure out with the snowfall forecast. We'll keep you guys updated here. A big difference with the Euro going more aggressive and the GFS going a little bit less aggressive. But Michigan, I would say Michigan's going to get some decent snow. That's the kind of the slam dunk right now is what I'm seeing with this forecast, but we got to figure out what's going to be happening down here in the lower Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and the Carolinas as we head towards the weekend here. So we'll keep you guys updated here on the channel. As soon as I get better forecasting confidence on this, we'll let you guys know. We'll provide updates. We'll have a live stream more than likely later on tonight as well, but stay safe out there, guys. Have a wonderful Thursday, and we'll see y'all in the next one.